Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your practice. I hope this finds you in good health and secure. We continue with the Daimoku of the Lotus Sutra. Question. If so, then what passage contains a full elucidation of the entity? Now, you understand this is the format of expedient means. This is Nichiren asking the question, perceiving that his audience might challenge him in various ways, and it gives him an opportunity to locute on these particular points. It's a way of introducing another way of looking at things because, again, Buddhism is about the mind. So if we're going to talk about how something works, sometimes when everyone is wrapped into understanding what's being taught or discussed, they may not know the subject well enough to ask an intelligent question. How many times have you felt that way, right? So Nichiren is providing the question. And right away, that forces we, the students, to go, oh, right, how does it look from there? So it's a type of, a form of teaching, right? A method, right? So the question is, what passage contains the full elucidation of the entity? Answer, the passage in the Expedient Means chapter, the Hoben, the second chapter, which we recite in Gangyo, that deals with the true aspect of all phenomena. What is our goal, after all, as we chant and practice Buddhism? To unify, to clarify, to experience fully the process of life, the engine of life, all of it. And in order to experience that fully, right, or as complete and perfect enlightenment, is to know without question what is the fundament, what is the process of everything. Do we need to know the chemistry and the biology and the physics of everything? No. But we need to understand conceptually how all of it comes about, because by doing so, we release ourselves from the separateness, the distinctions of everything. See, that's samsara, isn't it, in a nutshell? In samsara, everything is a distinct thing, which leads to us identifying it, owning it, collecting it. It's, right? The many it's. And if you understand fundamentally that there really is no separation, that everything is just a slight tone or color or tint or coloration of the same process constantly happening moment to moment to moment, oh, I don't have to worry about owning, maintaining, not losing. It's all the time. It's difficult to talk about. Question, how do we know that this passage deals with the lotus that is the entity? And that's the exciting part of practice. The RenGe, the when you get it, when you actually experience it, that moment of, oh, that's what's going on. That's what life is. It's very words. Answer, because Tendai and Miaolo quote this passage when they explain the essence of the Lotus Sutra, the essence of the Myoho Renge Kyo. And the great teacher Dengyo, in his commentary, also writes, question, what is the essence of the Lotus Sutra? Answer, its essence is the true aspect of all phenomena. This passage of the commentary clarifies the matter. Scholars of the time kept this commentary secret, and they did not reveal the name of the entity, but the passage is clearly referring to Myoho RenGe. Yeah, because it refers to the Lotus Sutra. And the Lotus Sutra is Myoho RenGe. Interchangeable, right? You don't chant Lotus Sutra, you chant Myoho RenGe, because Lotus Sutra is a convenient verbal label, a samsaric label put to Myoho RenGe. Furthermore, actual evidence of the entity is to be found in the examples of the three kinds of Buddhas described in the Treasure Tower chapter. Remember the Treasure Tower? The stupa of jewels, stupa, it goes by many names. Basically, our enlightened mind. You are the treasure tower. I am the treasure tower. Our enlightened mind is the treasure tower. It's represented in that mandala. Namo Myoho RenGe Kyo, the true entity of all phenomena. The moment-to-moment process of instantiating all potential. Namo Myoho RenGe Kyo, Namo Myoho RenGe Kyo, Namo Myoho RenGe Kyo. The bodhisattvas who appeared from the earth and the Dragon King's daughter who attained Buddhahood in her present form, right? This is from the Lotus Sutra. The bodhisattvas of the earth offer actual evidence because, as a passage of the Myoho RenGe says, they are unsoiled by worldly things like the lotus flower in the water. Again, these metaphors and pictures, mind pictures. But remember, the bodhisattvas of the earth, you and I, are those who attain a way of being in samsara as bodhisattva with the mind clarified, the mind of Buddha, the mind of clarity, of moment-to-moment experience, cherishing those moments one after another, rather than relying on our identity being the stuff we own or don't. Our identity as bodhisattvas becomes Buddha. That's the identity we carry through our day. It doesn't say it on our driver's license, but that's samsara, that's provisional. But in our minds, we know. We're not just a collection of stuff. We're a moment-to-moment instantiation of the entire process of life. Thus, we learn of the true entity of these bodhisattvas. And the Dragon King's daughter offers actual evidence because she has made her appearance at the gathering at Eagle Peak, seated on a 1,000-petal lotus blossom, big as a carriage wheel. She made an impression. Moreover, the 34 manifestations of Bodhisattva Wonderful Sound and the 33 manifestations of the Bodhisattva Perceiver of the World Sounds constitute further evidence. For, as the commentary says, quote, if he had not gained the mysterious power of perfect freedom of action through the meditation based on the Myoho RenGe Kyo, then how could he manifest these 33 different forms? And you don't have to think of this mystically. Just think to yourself, again, mind. How do you behave in front of your parents? How do you behave in front of your lover? How do you behave in front of your children? How do you behave in front of your workmates? Have I identified enough different yous? Different forms of you? See, it's not as mystical as it might first seem, but you have to understand how you come at this with Buddhism, with the mind of Buddha. These differences, they're just provisional samsaric little facades. The real you, the Buddha, That is what we need to remain conscious of all the time. Moment, 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 moment. In addition, there is the sutra passage that states, quote, so on and so forth, the characteristics of the world are constantly abiding, which is part of the 10 factors that we recite in Gangyo every day, right? Nyoze-in, nyoze-in, nyoze-kana, so on. Honmaku Kyoto, consistency from beginning to end. It's the same process over and over again. In addition, there's the sutra passage, characteristics of the world constantly abiding. All these passages are documentary proofs cited by the scholars of our time. Personally, however, I prefer to cite the passage in the Expedient Means chapter on the true aspect of all phenomena and the passage in the Supernatural Powers chapter that refers to, quote, all the doctrines possessed by the thus come one. Now remember, the thus come one isn't a person. Is that the thus come one? Is that the thus come one? What is the thus come one? It is your enlightenment. It is Tathagata. It is the engine of life, the process that begets instantiations from potential. Tathagata. Tathagata. The being, the becoming of Dharma process. The Tathagata. It's very, very straightforward. Don't let the words mystify you. There's constant repetition here of the same thing. Just trying to come at it so anyone, whatever their capacity, whatever their exposure, whatever their collected identity, manipulating their true essence, is in the way. Somehow, through all of these paths of words, no matter what your life experience, you'll get that, aha, I get that. Bingo. RenGe. Thank goodness it didn't use bingo. That would be weird. Okay. This last passage is also cited by the great teacher Tendai in his commentary explaining the 5 major principles of the Myoho Renge-kyo. I keep saying that instead of Lotus Sutra because you need to get it in your mind, in your head as you read these things. Lotus Sutra is Myoho Renge-kyo. You'd actually understand it more easily if you just replaced Lotus Sutra with Myoho Renge-kyo. The fact that the authors flip back and forth here, I don't think does a service to us. Because as Westerners, certainly, as I are one, when we hear a label like Lotus Sutra, we think of it as a label. Oh, that's the title of the book. But if we think of it as Myoho Renge-kyo, oh, that's Dharma. That's a teaching. That's a level of understanding that transcends labels and words. Oh, yeah. Right? Therefore, I feel, Nichiren feels, that this passage in particular can be cited as certain proof of the entity of the wonderful and difficult to understand law. What is the wonderful and difficult to understand law? You are. Myoho Renge-kyo, the treasure tower. Question: the documentary proofs and actual proofs that you've cited above are particularly compelling. Well, thank you. But why do you place such emphasis upon this one passage from the Supernatural Powers chapter? Supernatural meaning beyond samsaric identification. Super outside of natural samsaric powers, mental perceptions. Answer: this passage is profoundly significant, and that is why it is particularly pertinent. Okay? Question: what is that profound significance? Wow, you're just stubborn. Okay. In this passage, Shakyamuni Buddha explains that he is entrusting the 5 characters of Myoho Renge Kyo, the teaching of the Lotus, the one vehicle, how many ways can we say it, which is the essence of the Lotus Sutra, the Myoho Renge Kyo, to the Bodhisattvas of the earth. Remember that from the Lotus Sutra? If you haven't read it yet, do yourself a favor. These letters will make a lot more sense once you've read the Lotus Sutra. And I've reread it many times, different translations. Every time I read it, I get new insights, new aha moments, new RenGe. His original disciples. The thus come one Shakyamuni, you know that thus come one, that Tathagathaness, was Shakyamuni's experience of it. That's what that says. The thus come one, Shakyamuni's experience of it, who attained enlightenment countless kalpas in the past, says elsewhere, quote, "What I long ago hoped for has now been fulfilled. I have converted all beings and caused them all to enter the Buddha way." His whole mission, which you and I are emulating, was to influence everyone he encountered in his lifetime toward this enlightenment, this aha, this treasure tower, this being amazed by life. And what he then says in the lifespan chapter is that as much as I'm doing this as a man, as a bodhisattva, Shakyamuni, this ability, this insight, this aha moment from moment to moment, it's always been here. We didn't invent it. We didn't discover it. We simply awakened to it. We are all products of it, are we not? Are we not stardust? Are we not the same exact energies that has spawned this entire universe? Are we not? Seriously, this isn't magic talk. The more scientists investigate, the more they see how it's amazing, the variety of instantiations, but it's all from the same potential, the same energies, the same molecules, the same atoms, the same quarks, fields of energy, just manifesting like sparks everywhere in the universe. We uniquely have a perceptive mind to witness it. That is so amazing. We don't sit and be amazed by that enough. When my thoughts start getting all garbled in my head, I go outside and I'm very fortunate now to live on this 15-acre parcel in the country, away from the city and noises, and just sit and listen to the birds. Watch the breeze, breathe it in, and just sort of melt into the whole thing. Be a flower, be a leaf amongst the leaves. It will get your head and body straight. You will understand how utterly ridiculous it is that we stress out over such inconsequential things. They really, truly are. I know they seem so vital and important. They're just not. They may be helpful. They may be negotiations that we have to make in our samsaric existence, but that's not life. Thus, he has already fulfilled his earlier vow Then, intending to charge his disciples with the task of accomplishing widespread propagation in the last 500-year period after his passing, he called forth the bodhisattvas of the earth, the future bodhisattvas, you and I, you and me, and entrusted them with the heart of the sutra, the lotus of the entity of the essential teaching, the RenGe. This passage represents the ultimate purpose of which Shakyamuni Buddha appeared in the world, the secret law that he attained in the place of meditation. It is this passage that gives proof to the lotus, RenGe, of the entity that, for those of us who live in the latter day of the law, assures the attainment of Buddhahood in both the present and the future. Pertet. Now. Moment to moment. He's sharing that big aha moment of, oh, this is where life is. This is what life is. This instantiating energy. I'm manifesting it constantly, moment to moment to moment to moment. That just equalizes everything. The differences of stuff, of quasars and atoms, you and me, the differences are just minor little things. What's going on? That's incredible. That's life. That's what has importance. Not that by itself, our realizing of it. Again, it's the mind. You're amazing. I'm amazing. But you know what's really, truly amazing? How amazing it is. Experiencing, knowing that amazingness. The universe has been amazing long before you and I showed up. Long before. Will be. The only thing that is of value in your practice of Buddhism is realizing that it is your realizing that is amazing. Capture that. Capture that realization. Single-mindedly seek Buddha. Carry that realization throughout the day. Now you've got it. Live your day in Myoho Renge Kyo. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Right? Accordingly, at the present time in the latter day of the law, other than the envoy of the thus come one, there can be no one who understands and produces this passage as proof of the RenGe of the entity. Truly, it is a passage of secret meaning because it's not in the words. The secret is that you can only instantiate it. You can't wrap that in a label. It's the RenGe. It's the moment of enlightenment. That's why it's secret, not because... Do you understand the use of the word secret here? It's secret because it isn't obvious. It isn't something you can grab a scoop of and go, here, some enlightenment. If it were that easy, it's a self-realization. And not a realization of self. A realization that you come to through this apparatus, your mind. Truly, it is a passage of secret meaning. Truly, it is a matter of great concern. Because if you don't know to look for that insight, will you ever? Truly, it is to be honored and admired. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. This is Nichiren talking. This is what is meant by the statement in the Lotus Sutra that the bodhisattvas of the perfect teaching preached before the sutra has assembled in a multitude of 80,000 wishing to hear the teaching of the perfect endowment. Remember that when he calls forth future bodhisattvas, the bodhisattvas from under the earth, you and I, he calls out to the future. And there was the multitude of 80,000 wanting to, tell us what this secret is. Tell us what you're talking about. Oh, this knowing, this insight, this all-shattering aha. Yes, life, moment to moment, happening now. We're in it. No need for baggage. We're moving. We're momentum through time. We're creating the time that we're the momentum of. It's all happening moment to moment to moment. Man, this is exciting. It's amazing. It's deeply moving. What? You don't get it? Oh, compassion. You must try. You must try to understand. Come chant with me. Chant with me. It's the only way I can open that door for you. And then we can talk about it. Propagation. Question. Concerning the doctrines of our school, Nichiren's doctrine, the Lotus Sutra school, the Myoho Renge Kyo school, when persons of other schools come and want to know what passages give proof of the lotus of the entity, what passages from the Lotus Sutra should we cite? What passages of Myoho Renge Kyo should be cited? By now you know the answer, don't you? Answer, you should point out the title, Myoho Renge Kyo, that appears at the very beginning of each of the 28 chapters of the Lotus Sutra. First thing, what are you doing? What kind of, you say you're a Buddhist. I don't know anything about Buddhism. What do you guys do? We chant. You chant. What does that mean? We sing. But you don't have to have a singing voice. We just invoke our enlightened mind. Whoa, how do you do that? Well, repeat with me. Namu, Namu, Myoho, Myoho, Renge, Renge, kind of more, but you'll get it. Kyo. Kyo, Kyo, K-Y-O, Kyo. It's all one syllable. Say it all together. Namu, Myoho, okay. You've planted the seed, off and running. How do you do that? What is that? I don't understand. That's okay. You come over and we'll chant for a few minutes. It'll open your mind. And then we can talk about it. It'll make sense. Just, you have to give it some time, just like anything new that you learn. Okay. Well, I got some time like this weekend. Are you going to be around? Sure. Tell me when. Don't be an obstacle. I mean, some things could get in the way, but bodhisattva. He's telling you right there, this is how to practice. What should we do if somebody asks us about this? Point out the title, Myoho Renge Kyo. How do you do that? Come on over. Question, but how do we know that the title, Myoho Renge Kyo, appearing in each chapter is the lotus of the entity of the wonderful and difficult to understand law? Hello? Have you not been listening? How thick-headed are you? Listen. I've answered this question 10 times now. You know what this is about. Nichiren understands. He understands that it's one thing for us to practice for ourselves. You know, okay, me. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. I'm going to attain enlightenment. But it's quite another to reach out to somebody else and endeavor with confidence to lead them. Oh, I don't know that I'm a leader. I don't know that I can do that. Nietzsche gets it. But you're worrying about nothing. You're worrying about stuff that does not matter. That is your final huge karmic breakthrough. Because life works. And you're pointing out how life works shouldn't be that shattering of a thing. That's your ego getting in the way. That's what you're piercing. That's the wall you're breaking down. That's why Hinayana practitioners and earlier teaching practitioners, they don't get it because they're hiding in their ego. That's the final blast that really opens your experience of Myoho RenGe, of the entirety of the process of life. So Nietzsche understands, yeah, I get it. You understand it for you, but understanding it for somebody else, but you don't have to understand it for somebody else. That's the key. That's why your ego's in the way. You think you have to be a great teacher. Well, I'm no Nietzschean. You don't have to be. All of us are the bodhisattvas of the earth. We just need a little shove on the curtain. Look, you look. I'm not looking for you. I'm looking for me. You look for you. Together, we'll see the same thing. How amazing. It's not hard to help somebody else attain Buddhahood because you're not helping them attain it. You're helping them attain it for themselves. It's not your teaching and your help that's going to enlighten somebody. It's your enabling them to do it for themselves. This is why you hear me say all the time, you can't give Buddhism or Buddha to somebody, nor can they give it to you. Let alone hold it back from you. Oh, you can't get no mandala until you do this 28 times and you do it to my liking. And get the hell out of the way, you charlatan fool. Who the hell are you to control my enlightenment? Get out of here. Be very suspicious of people who make you jump through hoops in order to practice. Makes me upset. I ask this because when the great teacher Tendai explained the title of the Lotus Sutra, the Myoho RenGe, he interpreted the lotus as a metaphor so that we would have to say that this is the lotus that is a metaphor. Would we not? He missed it. He missed it. We've talked about this in 2 videos now. No. He used the metaphor, but he always spoke about both the metaphor and the actual. That the actual, the aha, the RenGe, is something only we individually can experience. But to talk about it to one another, I can't aha you. Only you can aha you. I know, I sound ridiculous. So let's give it something that we can relate to in samsara, the lotus. Let's look at the way the lotus blossoms and seeds at the same time in the mud. Let's use all of that metaphor to kind of get the idea in our heads. But that's not it. The metaphor isn't Buddhism. It's a way of communicating with fallible words and language to lead the mind to the trough of Myoho RenGe, of RenGe, of aha, I get it. Answer. The RenGe, or lotus, in the title of the sutra is explained as both entity and metaphor. He's repeating himself, but okay. In the interpretation you have just referred to, Tendai is explaining the lotus as a metaphor. Yeah. This is what he does in the first volume of Profound Meaning, where he discusses the 6 metaphors of the theoretical and essential teachings. But in the 7th volume of the same work, he interprets the lotus as the entity of the wonderful and difficult to understand law. Thus, Tendai's doctrine is flawless in that it reveals both interpretations, explaining the lotus in the title of the sutra as both entity and metaphor. The metaphor, the expedient means, is there to lead you to insight. The insight, that's the goal, not the metaphors. It's just a way of encouraging your mind to see clarity. This is why we have a mandala. Not because the mandala holds special powers, but because we, samsaric beings, we need a mirror, we need an object to focus all of our consciousnesses so that we can get into that actual moment-to-moment mind of realization. Without it, light bulb, squirrel, hunger, feet are cold. I mean, the distractions are zillions and constantly happening. How the hell, in all of that noise, can we focus our minds on enlightenment? Thank you, Nichiren. Thank you, Nichiren. You gave us something to get our attention, and when we really sink our attention into it, magic happens. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. We open up that Gohanzen mind, and we feel it. We experience it. I'm going to say something before the next question, and then we'll stop today. This is from my own experience. I get questions all the time. What should we be thinking when we chant, or some variation of it? And you know how I feel about chanting for stuff. What are you doing? It's as ridiculous as getting dressed in the morning with clothes that are just tube that you run over your body and then take off immediately. When you're done, you're not dressed. When you're going to your object of enlightenment with the idea that you're going to get stuff, what are you doing? Don't even bother. Well, just go pray like the religionists, you know. Please give me, because life's happening to me, and something, somewhere, someone, something, some power needs to help me. That's so far away. That's the opposite of Buddhism. Don't chant for stuff. Don't chant about things. But it's hard. It's hard because a lot of people start out using this as some kind of Aladdin's lamp. And I will tell you this. If even all that cacophony of monkeys, it's there. I know you can't just go, okay, I'm going to chant now. Right? Empty your mind. Stop it. Every time I hear that, I want to slap somebody. Empty your mind. It's not like there's a valve. But here it is. If you, amongst all of those thoughts, tell your mind, I want Buddha right now. I want to manifest Buddha-ness, clarity, knowing, a full experience of life right now. Well, guess what? That's what Namu means. Myoho Renge Kyo is the law, the Renge, the insight, that aha of life. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. And the monkeys, they're there. They're shouting. But I guarantee you, if you go to a Nichiren inscribed mandala and you focus your attention on Myoho and powerfully instigate Renge Kyo, and you chant with that idea foremost in your mind, Buddha now, I demand it. Happen, open, be Buddha now. It may take 5 Daimoku. It may take 500 Daimoku. But if that attitude, that idea, that intent is what you're driving at your mandala every time you chant, those other thoughts, you remember that little experiment I did with the pepper on the water, and I took my finger with a little bit of dish soap on it, and poof, all the pepper went to the sides? Remember that video? That's exactly what will happen. All those other thoughts, I don't care if they're there. I just care that that's not your focus. Those other thoughts, they'll suddenly, you may not even be aware they're not there. And they might creep in, me over here, me around. Freaking monkeys, right? I guarantee you, if you can focus single-mindedly on Buddha, instantiating, invoking Buddha mind, this little scroll or piece of paper, mandala, it'll start dancing for you. And I'm not talking mysticism. I'm saying your eyeballs, your brain will be so affected by your enlightenment, by Buddha-ness happening, pounding through that door, that the very idea that this is an object, noun, will mutate into object verb, and you will be experiencing enlightenment. And you'll know it because as soon as you notice it, that's when the monkeys will start to get back in. And you'll, oh, they weren't there. They went away. I didn't even notice them gone because Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Now you've got incentive. Oh, crap, I got to get back to that. Now I'm in my own way, Namu Myoho Renge, and then it'll happen. Stay in it as long as you can. That's the brilliance of this tool that Nichiren built for us. You can't do that for anyone else. No one could do it for you. You had to experience it. Now talk about that. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. If you're going to talk about it, you better be talking to somebody who's tried to do it. Because if they're asking you about Buddhism, you go, okay, so you sit down and you really focus and you demand, and they're going to look at you like, dude, where do you get the stuff you're taking? I want a couple of those. That looks good. Right? You can't force understanding on people. People have to come to their own understanding, just like you did. So relax. Because this just works. Takes one thing: resolve, dedication, right? All right, that's it for today. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to use the resource, not just these videos. There's podcasts, there's the books, there's the mandala store. There's a lot of free information on threefoldlotus.com. Let me know in the comments if I need to cover something or recover something. Maybe I misspoke or it sounded weird, didn't make sense to you. Let me know. We'll clear our paths one way or another, right? And if you can, very bodhisattva of you, like and subscribe. Liking and subscribing are two very simple ways to make the mandala, the algorithms make us more present on the YouTube searches, and that builds our sangha. That's propagation, at very least. And if you can, if you have the monetary means to help us out a little bit with Patreon or PayPal, there's a handful of you who are doing that consistently every month. My goodness, it's so appreciated. You can't imagine how necessary it's been to have your support. And if we have more support, I will build more into this. So far, we're doing okay, but the support is amazing. It's really helpful. So thank you, patrons. In the meantime, keep up your practice, be strong, keep your health, be kind to yourself. And I'll see you in the next one. Deal? Okay. Bye for now.